Sox fans, welcome to Good Guys Talk Back, a local fan-centric Chicago White Sox podcast, hosted by Nick Murawski and Pat Hester.
Hey, Sox fans, welcome back to Good Guys Talk Back. Hey, this is episode 306. I am Nick Murawski, and this is a fan-centric Chicago White Sox podcast. We do it every Sunday night live on the Good Guys Talk Back YouTube channel. But if you can't join us live and jump in the comments, the audio is available absolutely everywhere you find your podcast. So much to get to about this last place team of ours, but I think there's some improvement. There's a little bit of improvement that we're going to talk about. And how about those new City Connect jerseys and the Dick Allen bobblehead giveaway? Oh, we're definitely going to talk about that and more. So jump in the comments if you're available. With me, as always, my best friend, diehard Sox fan, Pat Hester. Hello, sir.
Buddy, it's good to talk to you. Happy Sunday to you and everyone listening. Before we go any further, we got to give some shout outs real quick. If you give me just a moment.
Yep.
First, big birthday this week. One Vinny Murawski.
Yes.
Turned a big 3, right?
Yeah.
Big number 3.
Yep.
Happy birthday to Vinny. And he enjoyed himself. Did he get the Dick Allen bobblehead, or did you wrestle that away from him?
I put it in safekeeping.
Okay.
He'll get it when
he's
he's
in a
18.
lockbox for him.
Yeah, it's in a trust.
Okay.
It's in a bobblehead trust.
It's in a trust. And then tomorrow, the apple of my eye, Evelyn Hester turns 14 years of age.
Oh my goodness.
So let's do the old school Hawk. He used to shout out the different towns and cities around that would be listening to our games or watching the games. And let's give a big Vinny and Evie happy birthday. Yes.
I came in late per the DJ move. He just was never really sure when.
I also did the Hawk move where I didn't allow you to even get yourself ready for it, because I really don't want you there at all.
I'm like, I'm going to do it myself, but if you somehow guess exactly when I'm going to say it, that's fine. But yeah, very fun. You've had a birthday stretch, Pat. A lot of birthdays in your family here.
It's birthday season, Nick, in the Hester house. So we have all spring babies. So this is the third of 4 birthdays in the spring. We got one more to round out the month. A lot of cake happens in months of March, April, and May. And we're almost through. We're almost through cake season. And you would be. It's a good thing that you live in Lockport, because if you were a neighbor of mine, there is a cookie cake sitting upstairs right now that I know if you were anywhere within somewhat reasonable driving distance, you would be over at my house.
Yeah, cookie cake, ice cream cake, those don't stand a chance around these parts. I'll find it. And I've got a pretty good memory of, what's kind of left and who might have taken what and where things get stored. And because there's a lot of craziness at the end of a birthday party. People are shuttling off leftovers. Oh, you take that, I'll put it in a huge Ziploc bag on a plate with foil or something, and you take the. And I know how to I will stash birthday cake or cupcakes away so that doesn't get divvied out with the mustacholi or the pizza. So
no, you're good at that, and probably and forgive me for all those that do this, but the cake on a paper plate, on like a Batman happy birthday cake plate with tinfoil over the top, just doesn't hold up. So what do you even? You might as well just throw it right in the trash.
It doesn't. I get those.
Just put it in my hand and I'll carry it home. This is good.
Let's just walk home with it in my hands. I'll just drive with my knees. I'll just operate the steering wheel with my thighs as I'm stuffing this leftover birthday cake down my gullet.
Well, if you're doing that, your thighs aren't big enough to drive. Let's be honest.
Well, you go to Costco and you get that 30 pack of those Glad, disposable. Whatever. So
you need to load up before the birthday season. So happy birthday, Vinny. Happy birthday, Evie. And now that we've shouted out 2 people that will never hear this episode, let's move on.
Let's get going. Let's give some shout outs to folks that are with us here. Trey, Steve, Scott, Sydney, Gregors, John. Thank you, John, by the way. Oh, John with the hookup. Oh, with the parking hookup. Thank you, John. Howard. Oh, good to have you here on Sunday night. A lot of people asking, hey, did you get that Dick Allen bobblehead? Oh boy, did I. Oh, here it is. Peekaboo. If you're just listening to the audio, and you've seen it, you've seen what this bobblehead looks like on the commercials. Fabulous job making this bobblehead. This is one of my favorites. Oh, and I'll tell you what, it is off of the Sports Illustrated cover, right? Had the monster 1972 year. Should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago. Finally was inducted recently. I've talked about the Chili Dog MVP book. We know, what this player has meant to Chicago, really, in the short time that he was in a Sox uniform. Really saved the Sox from heading to Seattle or Milwaukee or where have you. And on the cover of the Sports, we've talked about this, on the cover of the Sports Illustrated, he had a lung dart. He had a cigarette in his mouth while he was juggling 3 baseballs, and the cigarette was nowhere to be found in the mock-up of the bobblehead. We were saying,
right.
well, this is a Benny's promotion. Okay, 21 and older, only 21 and older were getting this, so might as well just put the cigarette in its mouth and make it authentic. And we joke that maybe, we'd all make our own little cigarettes and put them in the mouth of the bobblehead when we get it. Well, I get into the ballpark and I'm walking around with my wife and my son. And of course, we're getting the food. We're figuring out, what are we going to eat? And then we got to make our way up to the kids zone. And he's, so I see Bruhan Luke, which if you're on social media, if you follow White Sox social media, Bruhan Luke, awesome dude. And I see Bruhan Luke and he's like, oh man, did you get the bobblehead? And I said, absolutely. And he goes, oh, did you see what My Sox Summer said from 108, My Sox Summer? He put out some posts saying that they're giving away fake, tiny little cigarettes, of course, fake, but accessory cigarettes by section 116. I was like, no way, that's insane. I thought it was some fan, some hot fan that just made a bunch of tiny cigarettes and we're handing them out to people. And sure enough, we're walking around the concourse. There's a discreet table set up where this young lady is behind a table with a White Sox banner, and there's a Dick Allen bobblehead in the box, and there's no message of I'm giving out little tiny cigarettes or anything. And I approached her and she said to me, do you know what I have here? I said,
pretty broad question.
I said, well, ma'am, I believe you have tiny cigarettes that you're giving out. And sure enough, can you see this, everybody? It looks like a tiny little matchstick, shorter than that, but it's pretty darn authentic here. And they're giving out in little baggies, tiny little cigarettes in baggies. And she goes, you know why we're doing this? You know the story? And I go, yes, I'm well aware. I'm well aware of it. And she's like, oh, okay. And so I just thought that was the funniest thing that they did this. I mean, big props to White Sox marketing. I take back everything I've ever said, almost. Well,
the marketing, you can't really go. The marketing team, and is not the reason why the team is terrible. So
that's true.
Don't give them a hard
time. It was just it was unbelievable. And as I'm walking away, there was a fan behind me that I believe had a Dick Allen jersey on. And we started talking a little bit, as Sox fans tend to do, which I love that about, going to the game. You just start talking to people, right? And especially when you're outside of the ballpark, when you're in the community and you find another Sox fan, you're always just, okay, we can talk White Sox. So this guy who probably was around and saw the 72 season, Howard said he was living through the 72 season. And so this fan was a little older than us, Pat, and he was talking about, oh, it's so sad that he, didn't get to see his Hall of Fame, the call to the hall, so to speak, and what a great player. And then he goes to me, and it's just too bad they didn't put a cigarette in these bobbleheads. And I said, well, I'm going to pay it forward after what Bruhan Luke said to me. I said, sir, and I think he was with his son, go to 116. They're giving away tiny little cigarettes, believe it or not. He goes, no way. And he looks to his son. He goes, let's go. And he turns around and he beelines it for the cigarette lady, the little booth that she set up. How about that?
That first of all, that's a great story. Second of all, thank you for taking a picture of it and sending it to me. I thought maybe at first you decided to like smoke a joint with your family at the Sox game until I read the context. I'm like, why is Nick sending me a picture of a joint? Yeah. But then I read the actual words, which helps. So that's great. I'm glad they did the right. So do you attach it? Do you have to glue it on?
You'd have to, yeah. Greg asked if there's like a little opening for the cigarette. No, you're going to have to super glue it, but I've got some ideas with a really tiny drill bit. What I might be able to do. I've got some ideas.
if you're taking a drill to your bobblehead, Nick, then you have too much time on your hands.
I'll find the time. I'll make the time. They made the effort to make these tiny little cigarettes.
And now you're going to be drilling into Dick Allen's head.
I will figure this out. But how about that? That was really awesome. And what a cool, it was a great start to the game, but a cool day. Dick Allen's son threw out the first pitch. I think he had another son that might have brought out the lineup. That was really nice. We could have used a little Jesus Christ Superstar from Nancy Faust on the organ, which was his walk-up music, but I didn't hear any of that.
That's a shame. Well, that's one you can put against the marketing team then.
I know. Well, you win some and you lose some. I'm always keeping score. I'm always keeping tallies. But yeah, it was fun. And these bobbleheads this year, this was maybe only the first 10,000, 11,000.
Mm-hmm.
The next one, well, I wasn't there for. Oh, and by the way, Pat, happy Star Wars Day to you. May the Fourth be with you. I know you are such a huge fan, but did you see the Steve Stone Stormtrooper?
I saw the Steve Stone Stormtrooper, the giveaway today. I could not make it to the game today, but I would have loved to have been there. Looked like a good giveaway on a fantastic day. Always great day in a Star Wars Day, my friend.
Yeah. So I didn't get my hands on that Steve Stone one. I'll find. I'm not a big the gimmicky ones, the superhero, the Star Wars stuff. I don't really race for those, though I'll find those at the garage sale or on the second market. But the next one is May 25th. That's the Charles Comiskey one.
Okay.
Now, that one might only be 7,500.
Oh, wow. That's even more limited.
Yeah.
Why would that one be more limited?
They're all this way. For some reason, the Sunday giveaways, like the Ray Durham one in June, 7,500.
Do you think it's just because they have so many bobblehead days this year that it's like
possibly? It could also just be a pull to get people there early, But yeah. So I'll keep you posted on how successful I am this season. But
if you see one of those Steve Stone bobbleheads fall off the back of a truck, Nick, the man with his ear to the ground on bobbleheads, let me know.
I will. That's my mission now. You've made my list of things to do. I will find that for you.
After you're done drilling into Dick Allen.
First things first, man. First things first. I got to drill this cigarette into Dick Allen's mouth. And then I'll get on that Stormtrooper Steve Stone for you. Here we are. Our Chicago White Sox. They won 3 games since the last time we talked,
which is about what we said, right?
Yeah, I think I did say that.
We could go back and listen to the tape, but I'm pretty sure you said 3, so that's right on the money.
I think so. There's something a little different offensively. The numbers aren't obviously drastically different than the last time we talked, but there has been improvement when I rattle off some of the actual numbers, but still in last place in that ever forgiving AL Central, but we haven't lost any ground. We're still 11 games back, hanging tough. Second worst record in all of baseball, though. Those Colorado Rockies, man, 6-27. 6-27. So
it's not good. I've been told.
No, that's it feels familiar. I feel like we were around there last year at this time. So totally understand what you're going through, Colorado. Hopefully we don't break a new record this season. It's just
That would be nice.
it would be nice. I think the offense is improving slightly. If you've been watching, we had 2 games. What was it, Thursday and Friday, with 7 and 8 runs each game.
Yeah,
That's kind of goofy. That's different. And then only 3 on Saturday, and it was in the first inning, which was a bummer. But Jake Myers, man, just ate the Sox lunch.
yeah.
What do you have, 7 RBIs on Saturday?
He did a lot of things. I mean, he
did.
Didn't he start out the game with a home run and a triple, if memory serves, or was that
He definitely had the home run. Yep, I was there for that. He had 2 home runs, a triple, and a double.
That'll play.
That'll play. Yeah, that's a pretty good day. So our Sox offensively, though, 24th in all of baseball in runs. That's an improvement. Slugging, they're still the worst team in baseball at 328. They've crept out of the cellar of batting average in all of baseball. They're 28th now. They were 30th last time we talked. They've got a 216 team average. On base percentage, 25th in all of baseball, and home runs, 27th. The Sox, with runners in scoring position, are hitting .207. That is not the worst anymore. They are 27th in all of baseball. So they've made a little bit of improvement here and there. It feels like it'd be tough to notice. They leave a lot of guys on. They had situations. They could have continued to score Saturday early in the game. They left guys on in scoring position, and giving up these massive amounts of runs late in the game is no good.
Well, that's a recipe for disaster, but you said it, Nick. I mean, there are some things that you can kind of glean to and say, wow, I like watching that. That's making me a little bit happier at the moment. I'll give a little kudos to somebody that I've been very hard on for a long time, and you keep asking me about him, and you say, what do you think of this? And it's Lenine Sosa.
Yeah.
I mean, very quietly, in 15, maybe even 10 years ago, you'd say 256 is nothing to be really excited about in terms of a batting average, which again, whenever I bring up batting average, I have to preface it by saying nobody cares about batting average, but big hit today, hitting 256. I'd say playing and again, you have to forgive me because I'm not watching every game right now. I can't physically watch every game at the moment, but a solid contributor at second base. Can you say this can be someone that we can use in our future? Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe.
We'll see about that. Mydroth, right, has been doing.
Yeah, he's back.
Things.
He's back, and he brings an intensity, man. He just brings an excitement. There's some electricity, especially in that leadoff spot. It's good to have him back.
So I think I saw a crazy stat that was posted. If he had enough at bats to qualify, he'd have the least swing and miss out of the strike zone, something crazy like that. The guy knows, what a ball and a strike is, which, doesn't sound like that means a lot, but on this team that has been not able to identify or get on base over a long period of time, that's a positive thing. Luis Robert Jr. is doing things that you would expect him to do as for the talent that he has. He's either tied or in the lead now in the American League in steals.
He leads with 15.
Yeah, he's starting to hit for power now, Nick, into the alleys and out of the ballpark, which is good to see. Again, it's that kind of like false excitement that you get because it's just for somebody else's future when it's all said and done. But it's exactly what we need him to do. We need him to perform, as we've talked about many times. Vargas has been a nice.
He made that swing adjustment a couple weeks ago, and he's been squaring some things up, showing some power. Yeah.
So I'd say we don't have it's a low bar of things to get excited about. But when you're talking about an offense that struggled so much over the past several years, putting up runs and seeing balls getting barreled up and guys getting on base, you talked about the failure to kind of knock in runs when they're left on the base paths, but it's a better brand. I'll say this: it's a better brand of baseball to watch and or listen to at the moment. Does not mean it'll equate to a lot of wins this year, but it's a better brand if that's safe to say.
There's a pulse. I didn't
Mhm.
think there was any pulse last year,
Yeah.
so there's some sort of pulse. Like guys seem to care. And I think that has a lot to do with the core being gone, the dead weight and some young, hungry guys that don't know any better that are like, look, this isn't the old Sox. We're still young, we're wet behind the ears, but I think there's more effort. I'm seeing just more effort. Again, not equating to the wins, and they don't have the horses like we're seeing in the bullpen and obviously with some of the offensive numbers, but I've liked some of the things I've seen from Carroll. Like that's a guy that I would love for them to maybe build around here.
Mhm.
I like what we have in terms of our backstops, and
Yeah.
he's got the offense, he's got some speed, he's got an arm. We talked about Maydroth, and Luis Robert Jr. has shown some pop over the last week. He's healthy and he can run, like you mentioned. I mean, this is something we haven't seen from a Luis Robert Jr. leading the league in steals. I
Yeah.
think this is absolutely him trying to show off his weapons. He's showcasing himself. He's
Sure.
healthy and he has got to show the rest of the league. I am absolutely worth, what my organization is saying I'm worth. He's got to pick up the home run numbers for sure. And he's got to make it consistent, but he's got 11 hits, 3 home runs, along with 7 walks across his past 9 games. So,
and playing
that's an
a
improvement.
more than serviceable center field at this moment too. I mean, Rob's a grand slam.
Yeah,
in the first inning
throwing
of the
some
Brewers.
leather too.
Yeah, the last game of the Brewers game, the Brewers series this past week. So, again, we can kind of that's somewhat of a given for him to just play the position at an elite level. But it still, again, shows the several tools that he has. And I do have to comment, just go back because of something that Howard said that makes me chuckle about picking up the antenna and writing it off as a business expense. And it makes me think of the Seinfeld episode where, Jerry's just wrecked the stereo and write it off.
Yeah.
I don't even know what a write off is.
But they do. And they're the ones that write it off. So you're
write it off what?
Just write it off what? You don't even know what that is. You look into that, Pat. I think that could be something.
I'll just write off everything.
Yeah. I do want to get to the Tim Elko thing. There were some people talking about that. It's really interesting stuff that a former White Sox hand, I guess you could say. I don't even heard of the guy. Some of the stuff that this guy said on social media about Andrew Vaughn and why he wants Tim Elko brought up. I'm going to get to that in a little bit. And of course, we got to talk some things that just never get old. Later in this episode, we've got some more Bryce Harper stuff and what's going on with Colson Montgomery too. That's a little disturbing, but
yeah,
the pitching for the Sox has fallen off from where it was like the first week or two, where we were really impressed by our starters. But I've liked Jonathan Cannon, Pat.
Oh yeah,
I think he leads the team in strikeouts. I liked his performance this past week. This was a guy going into the season I had high hopes for, just because of what he can do with the baseball. He's got quite the arsenal. I need pitching to hit. I need, in terms of, we got to have guys that are really living up to their potential. Okay, not just flash in the pan, not just hype, and again, it's early for Cannon, as it is for a lot of guys, but these are the things I get excited about for this season, not the wins or the losses. I mean, wins are great, but sometimes it's how you win, and with what guys are you winning with, and if it's guys that you might see in the future, those are really exciting wins, especially if it comes from a great pitching display by a guy like Cannon, who I think could be in the rotation for a little while.
Yeah, and I'll say this about the pitching. There's been, some higher highs, and then they've been coming back down to earth, and then there's been some rebound, and it's I think young pitchers going through you've got some tape on you now. Guys you're being scouted. You're there's a lot of stuff for for people to prepare for now more so than there was maybe a couple of weeks ago. Maybe, some teams haven't seen you before, that kind of stuff. So now that there's tape on you and people are watching video, and there's teams that actually put time and effort into preparing for an offensive game plan versus a pitcher, that's going to be on them now to respond. Okay. All right. They know that this is what my tendencies and what I like to do and what I like to throw. How can we mix it up while still playing, and I hate this term, but playing within myself, right? Not doing things that I'm not able to do. But, it's a cat and mouse game, Nick, with as you know, as a former pitcher at a very high level at Lockport High School. So, again, it's just going to be
adjustments. It's always about adjustments.
And again, this is maybe not the best comp for these guys, but we look back at the Lucas Giolito, experiment back in the day when it was like, my God, this guy's got the worst ERA in baseball, and what can we do? And he really found himself later on down the line with the Sox, and before he kind of got shuffled off. But those are the things that encourage me, like still getting back in the Cats lab, right? In the Ethan Katz lab.
Yeah, the lab.
And now you're going to have to respond to what these guys are doing. I don't know what the answer is, because I'm not going to be breaking down pitching or mechanics or these kind of things. But is that fair? Is that accurate in your opinion, or am I just saying silliness?
No, I think there's a lot of truth to, the eye test is important, and you sometimes you can't put your finger on it, or you can't articulate what you see with young pitchers, but I think it's keeping hitters off balance and changing up eye level and being able to be really confident throwing any of your pitches at any given time. You're trusting the game plan that the coach has laid out. You're trusting your backstop. Obviously, we've talked about the defense and how pitchers have said, almost to the effect of, I didn't really trust my defense behind me. I had to be so perfect. And maybe there's just a throwing that out of your mind. Like, what? It is what it is back there behind me. I've got to trust my stuff, and I've got to make the changes and the pitches when it matters.
Right.
So again, like, it's young. They're young. They're going to make mistakes, but you have to make mistakes, because it's how you grow from those mistakes. And if you don't grow and you don't change, those are going to be your cast-offs. Those are going to be those guys and we've had so many over the last several years, that you have no value to us.
Yeah.
You weren't able to change. You weren't able to adapt, whether it be from, the minor league to the major, or when guys start figuring you out, because everybody's got a tablet as soon as they get back to the dugout. Everybody's sifting through. Everybody knows what you have. Yeah. That's the challenge. And pitcher stuff is so good, but hitters have an immense amount of data. Now, what you do with that data, that's a whole nother thing. You can give somebody all the data in the world. You can give Eloy Jimenez probably, just feed him data, and he's still going to pound the ball into the ground and hit into a double play. But hitters are making changes too. So it's a beautiful part of the game. That's why I love it. I love those pitching battles. And that's going to be, for me, the thing I'm absolutely going to be watching throughout this season.
Let me ask you this, Nick, and we've been told, and we know that this time of year, with the weather being cold and somewhat miserable to be out at the ballpark, and it's been it's more of an advantage for pitching than it is for hitting. But I just wonder if these guys are still trying to get used to pitching in conditions like this. Grip on a baseball has something. I mean, I was out basically at a baseball field since Friday with practices and games and all kinds of stuff. I was out today. Couldn't feel my fingers by the end of the game today, and it's May. I mean, I couldn't imagine going out there and trying to have to perform when the weather conditions aren't what they should be. Not to say that's an excuse, but I just wonder if guys are still learning how to not only get guys out at this level, but overcome some of those issues as well.
Yeah, and you're going to see the ball do things differently in the summer than it is right now, with humidity levels. And you're also going to see that offensively. The ball is going to start taking off, hopefully, for the White Sox, in the summer months, and it'll be flying out. And the ball starts doing things differently for a pitcher when the humidity rises. There's a little bit of, tackiness on the fingers. I mean, you're gripping the ball a little bit better. You're a little looser. Your muscles, it doesn't take you as long to warm up. But I still think there's that advantage for a pitcher right now because hitters are just standing there and they're cold, and there's a lot of times you don't want to swing. It's going to hurt too, especially when you bust guys inside in this colder temperature. It's an advantage for the pitcher, but I think I think they'll grow into it. And as the season changes, as the weather changes, they might be a completely different pitcher.
Yeah.
By June or July.
Let's hope so. And let's hope for some warmer weather around here. I mean, that would be lovely. I'm not, I don't want to ask for too much, but it is May now.
Yeah, it's 50s. It was chilly Saturday, but we were sitting in the sun, so it wasn't too bad. But wind whipping around. Again, it's not. I feel like we don't get like a summer until June, or even early July, when you're going to have those nice summer nights. But it's coming, man. It's coming. And I'm sure they're going to be breaking out these new uniforms in the summer. I mean, but these new City Connects, Pat, they were debuted on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
They wore them on Saturday, and they're these hybrid Chicago Bulls jerseys. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very open. I mean, it's the honest truth. I mean, they literally are. They look like kind of Chicago Bulls warm-ups. I like the hat. I like the hat a lot with that sock and that, the wings from the 50s, maybe.
Yeah.
40s or 50s. They're growing on me a little bit. I'll tell you, everywhere in the team store, though, you go to the ballpark. I mean, you're seeing it everywhere. They've got everything. You can see the pennant,
which is a sharp looking pennant.
And I mean, they've got the socks, they've got the jackets, they've got t-shirts, hats, obviously the jersey, sweatshirts. I mean, they've got it all. With this jersey, and it's starting to grow on me a little bit. And we've got some quotes a little bit later. Players seem to like it too. Have you warmed up at all to the new City Connect?
Here's the thing, Nick, and we talked about it a little bit last time, and I think maybe we didn't talk about it, but I put in a text, to a couple different people. You're celebrating 125 years, and you could have done just a throwback to any of the fantastic uniforms worn by this team. I mean, if there's one thing this team has been good at, it's coming out with some cool uniforms over the years. Some maybe not as cool as others.
Yeah.
So I think that was maybe a lost opportunity as you're kind of celebrating your own team history this year. But I don't know. I'm to me, one, I don't like pinstripes. I've never been a big pinstripe guy. So to throw on pinstripes on top of like a Bulls uniform, and maybe it's more of let's just be blatant here. Let's parade the other team's colors that the owner owns that team as well. And maybe that's why I don't like it as much.
It's a Jerry jersey. It's a Jerry Reinsdorf jersey. That's why it's kind of gross.
That's why more or less I'm not a huge fan of it. But listen, it's a jersey. I'm not going to get all hot and bother over it. I just think it was a lost opportunity to kind of highlight some of the other great uniforms you've worn over the years and not have to just go for the Jerry decision and let's highlight my other failing franchise for the next several months. But it is what it is. And I know the kids like it. I mean, my 8-year-old, and I think he'll be getting one at some point for his birthday coming up. He's all about it, which is fine. It doesn't have to be about me. I'm an old man, so I I don't know. You're warming up to it though. You're a fan.
I'm warming a little
Big
bit.
fan?
I mean, if I like the jacket, some of those like warm up jackets, but again, it had the that sock with the Wings logo
Mhm.
on the front chest. I like those. I was about to pull the trigger on the hat. Wasn't quite fitting the way I was liking for the price tag. That hats are, I don't know what has happened to hat prices, but they are going through the roof right now.
What did that hat run you if you bought it?
If I bought the hat, the low crown the new City Connect, the black hat, $50.
Holy moly! Is it made out of
$50 for
eggs? I mean, that's an expensive hat.
I mean, they've crept up. They were 30, and then all of a sudden they're running you. The on-field is 35. Now $50 for an on-field new City Connect hat. Okay, it's a little outrageous.
If they can't get a Nick Murawski to crack open his wallet for a new hat, they need to really consult you. They need to bring you in and say, listen, Nick.
How often were we saying you get the fake cigarette? Someone is listening to this podcast and just doesn't want to fess up. They got the Dick Allen fake cigarette for the bobblehead. It was a smart move. I've got others. I've got a lot of them. We'll talk.
Just tap into the expertise of a Nick Murawski and go, Nick, don't fool us here. Just straight shoot us. We know you're going to pay a lot for a hat. Just tell us what your max is. And then that's the damn price tag. And you $50 for a hat, man, that's a
35. I'm in 50. I got to think about it a little
another
bit.
$15. I mean,
by the way, I needed to, I put it up on the stream here, but JT had a great suggestion. If we've got this Bulls hybrid here and the Sox players are forced to wear these Bulls looking jerseys, will the Bulls this coming season wear the shorts from the 1976 season?
Oh, now you're talking.
The short shorts with the high socks and the big collars. That would be something else. That would be a nice hybrid Bulls jersey.
I agree that has to happen now. And all those and the Bulls players, could you see that hanging up in their locker? They show up for a game and it's like, what in heavens is this look going to be tonight? That would be great though. I would go to that game. I haven't been to a Bulls game in many years.
Let's go to a Bulls game this fall. I have not either. I think we should do that.
Okay.
That'd be a lot of fun.
All right.
I thought if anything, if you're going to wear, a different jersey on Dick Allen bobblehead day, wear the Reds, wear the pinstripe Reds in honor of Dick Allen.
That would have been a nice touch, but another failed opportunity. Marketing. Another point fingers.
But
marketing
one step forward,
that's two
step back.
They started the show even. Now they're down two. Now they're down.
By the way, okay, I'm going to talk about this whole Vaughn situation. What a former White Sox minor leaguer said about Vaughn here in just a second, and what he thinks about Tim Elko. But you asked me to do some recon on the bathroom.
Oh yes, that's the most important thing. You showed me your joint that you up. Now tell me about how the bathroom situation.
Pat, you would be extremely disappointed. It has not gotten any better, Pat. I walked in. I just was going to go to the urinal, of course, and there are 5 dudes standing at the entrance. Nobody else is behind anybody at the urinals. They're just standing there waiting for the next urinal to be. And I passed them by, and they kind of gave me a look like, "What are you doing? Like, are you cutting?" And I was not about to get into an argument, but I made my way into the bathroom and I got behind somebody at a urinal. Like, that's what you do. Push in, find a line, and get ready.
It upsets me because if you waited in line, and I'm sure this line was going out into.
Yes, it was starting to. Yes.
Okay. That creates a problem on the concourse. Now,
correct.
If you're telling me this is a playoff game and it's a blackout game and it's 40,000+ people, I can understand lines extending out into the concourse area. But I'm just looked at it. There was 20,000 people at this game, Nick.
Yeah.
There's no reason why there should be lines like this if everybody just follows the almost unwritten rule that we've had as White Sox fans for as long as I've been alive. Just to understand how you go to the bathroom at this place. I don't understand what has gone wrong. I'm really upset at White Sox Nation. What the hell happened to you people? This was we got the food. We got the better beer. The experience is going to be fantastic. Wider concourses. Everything is great here. Ballpark,
something happened.
Not so good. A lot of good things. Great uniforms. Great stores and bathrooms. Boom, in and out bathrooms.
Yeah.
But you've now ruined the one thing that we can cling to.
Something happened over the years. I don't know if it was a COVID thing or they're just a different generation that's not familiar with the process. But yeah, there needs to be a PSA or a video done by somebody. Maybe it's us.
I mean, could you
we do need
a Honda? Like, well, they do the announcement of if there's an emergency, go to this. Everybody move out. Like, okay,
we need to get Eric Carlson to record a Gene Honda faux PSA about pushing into the bathrooms and get behind somebody at the urinal. Stop waiting in line. And that should be played when you enter the bathroom. Right when you start to enter, it's on a speaker. Like you're like when it's played, welcome to Rate Field or whatever. Like as you're going in, we need welcome to the bathroom. Just find yourself a spot in line. We'll get Eric to record that.
Oh,
that's
my
what we
gosh.
need. Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
There's little, it used to be where the play on the field would really get me upset. And now it's because of where the team is at and the expectations. It's the bathroom etiquette, which has me beside myself. But thank you for doing the recon on that. Thank you for doing the right thing and urinating in a proper fashion.
I was thinking about you the whole time, and I know that
as you're urinating, you're thinking.
I was just like, wait till I bring this up. Speaking of bringing things up here, did you ever hear of this Tyler Osick fella?
No, I when you texted me this quote, and I know you're going to read it here in a second. I was trying to think about, have I heard of this person before? Is this a real thing?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, pretty damning comments, and it's almost unheard of. I think that somebody would put that out there, but I'll let you go ahead and read it. I'm sure people have seen it, but go ahead.
Yeah, if you're on, social media, it was on Twitter X. I saw it Saturday kind of evening. This former player, Tyler Osick, who was in the Sox system from 2019 to 2023, never higher than AA. So he might have crossed paths with Vaughn for a year or two. Winston-Salem, Birmingham, and definitely did some work in Arizona, which is where this quote was coming from, or this post. But Tyler Osick did not have kind things to say about Andrew Vaughn. This is what Tyler's post was. I'll tell you the truth here. Andrew Vaughn would be out in Arizona golfing, and we would all be grinding in Arizona at the facility in the offseason. And he'd show up 2 times per week, dumbbell press 40 pounds, take 20 swings off the machine, show up and hit 250 with 15 bombs and 500 plus at-bats, then repeat the next year. To me, that was just a slap in the face to all the people grinding to make it, given the keys to the game, and took it for granted. Promote Tim Elko. Woo, mercy.
Wow. I think the term is scorched earth. He just went scorched earth on Andrew Vaughn.
Wow.
I mean, does it, if true, and again, that's one person's perspective, I guess, and we can't argue with it at this point and refute it, but that's going after a person's work ethic is pretty harsh when you're in the fraternity, if you will.
I was just going to say that, Pat, in that fraternity where it's kind of like you don't air dirty laundry in public, what stays in the clubhouse, but wow, this guy just went after him.
Obviously, they're not going to be going out to dinner anytime soon together. So, yeah, I mean,
didn't this know what we've talked about this over the years, and who are we to question anybody's work ethic? We're just a couple of, couple of diehard Sox fans that are just watching and commenting. But there was something I thought on these guys that come in that were part of the former core that seemed to just rest on their God-given talents. And they didn't want to put any offseason work in, injured or injuries, doing whatever they were doing. It's their personal business. But I just had a hunch they just feel like, they've always been told they were the greatest of whatever group they've been in, whatever age, whatever level. And they believed that. And they felt maybe I don't need to really claw and fight and grind. I've got the talent. It'll show through when I need to. And no, you got passed up. When it came to it, you could not handle because other people wanted it more because they didn't quite have the God-given gifts and they put the work in, the TWTW. And that's
Hawk
what
was always onto something with that, by the way. He got ridiculed a lot for that, but you can't measure the size of a person's heart. And by these comments, you would have to think that Andrew Vaughn has a very small heart. He's got the How the Grinch That Stole Christmas heart before it grew 3 sizes that day. I mean, that's what I've drawn to conclusion. And if that is true, it shouldn't surprise us about the results that we've seen since he's come up here.
Yeah, I don't know if this Tyler Ozick has got a serious axe to grind, if there's some kind of personal issue, or if he's just really, really good friends with Tim Elko, maybe, and he's just, wants to throw some shade towards Vaughn and do whatever he can to get Elko up. And but before we get on to Elko's numbers and what might happen, I don't know. Obviously, this guy I don't think he's got much to lose, though. I think he's out of the game. So would he have said it if he was still in the Sox? Obviously not.
No.
And this is just one perspective, but it was really eye-opening when I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah. Going after a guy that for not working hard. Again, in this day and age, going after someone in their work ethic is really, really damning on somebody, if true. So it's a shame. And it's a shame that if that is who Andrew Vaughn is, it's kind of like, man, why we get stuck with all the guys that, again, like you mentioned, just seem to have zero, want to be here or want to be great. It's I've always been great. Eventually I'll just be great again. I'm going to continue to do what I've always done. And it just doesn't work that way.
There's a guy we're going to get to in a little bit that just will never go away for Sox fans, Bryce Harper, who is the exception to the rule. And there's others. I remember people telling me about Bryce Harper, like, wait till this teenager gets in. Wait till you see this guy. And he has lived up to everything. We'll talk a little bit of Bryce in a moment, but so Tim Elko is the guy that Tyler Ozick is lobbying for. A lot of fans waiting for Tim Elko. What are we holding on? Like, what's going on here? So 26-year-old Tim Elko, this is how he finished the month of April in the minors. Slashed .367, .448, .711 with 4 doubles, 9 home runs, 20 RBIs, 12 walks, 18 runs, and a 1.159 OPS in 25 games with Charlotte in March, April. Tim Elko's not going to be the next Frank Thomas, and he very well could be the next Andrew Vaughn, with the way things go for the Sox. But at this stage, I just what do we got to lose? Let's just see. Let's just see. But it's not like I'm saying a Tim Elko promotion is going to change everything or the direction. It's just I'm curious to see what he could do at the major league level, because I don't think Andrew Vaughn at all. And I'm not because of what Tyler Ozick said, just because what I've seen with my eyes over the years, I've seen no real improvement, whether he's unlucky or not, because I saw some of that going around on social media today. All that stuff. I just, I'm done with Andrew Vaughn. I don't think this is about where we're going to get from Andrew Vaughn. I don't see him going any higher than this. So why not take a peek at what the future could be?
I guess we talked a little bit about it last week. The philosophy, and the old way versus what Chris Guest wants to have. Do you? I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, Nick. I think I mentioned last week I'd rather have guys stay down, and I like the philosophy of continue to produce and then fail and then find a way. How do you respond from that failure rather than come up here where that failure could last a lot longer, right? Because you can find it a little bit better and get your way out of it. I think a little bit better in the minors and get going again. But I'm fine. If they brought him up tomorrow, I'm fine with it, right? Because I'm interested to see it too. I mean, you talk about the over 1,000 OPS. I mean, that's something that we don't see a lot of around here is people getting on base. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to see it. And if it's the cost of Andrew Vaughn, so be it. And what would be nice, to be honest with you, Nick, as this continues to happen and this becomes more and more of a story around the team for sure. And I'm sure that at some point, if you're covering this team and you're a beat reporter, I'm asking Andrew Vaughn, how do you feel about having some heat and somebody maybe possibly coming up here to challenge your job? I would love that to have a positive effect on Andrew Vaughn. I mean, that would show you what kind of a, intestinal fortitude he does have. Hey, this kid's not going to take my spot. I'm going to do everything I can, and I'm going to put the work in. Maybe it's a little too little, too late. But I don't know what the right answer is in terms of a development on a guy. You could tell me a lot of different things. People that know the game better than I do would probably be able to explain it. But now I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued just because I'm hearing more, seeing more, reading more about it. Now I kind of want to be able to, well, not that I can watch it anyway. I mean, I'm interested to listen to it on AM 1000 whenever I have an opportunity.
Yeah. Speaking of development and maybe going backwards to go forwards, it sounds like that's the case with Colson Montgomery. I don't know if you saw this, Pat.
Yes.
Colson Montgomery being shipped to Arizona to figure some things out. This is from White Sox Director of Player Development, Paul Janisch, said this on Saturday about Montgomery. It's not necessarily about having success in Charlotte. It's about getting him into a position where he's confident and comfortable enough to compete at some point this year. He'll go to the major league level. That's what this is all about, right? We still have a great deal of belief in Colson. And this was from MLB beat writer covering the Sox, obviously, Scott Merkin. After going 0-for-6 during last Sunday's 13-12 victory for Charlotte over the Scranton Wilkes-Barre, dropping Montgomery's average to 149 in the midst of a 1-for-21 funk. General manager Chris Getz announced this past Tuesday the decision to give the shortstop a break from daily game action. He's going through regular daily workouts at the Camelback Ranch facility in Glendale, Arizona, in terms of taking ground balls, lifting weights, and continuing the workload from a running standpoint. But he's also doing extensive cage work with White Sox director of hitting Ryan Fuller. I don't know if I am as excited as Paul Janisch is about this, but I didn't see this happening this way. That's just this doesn't feel right. But sometimes I guess you do have to go backwards to go forward.
I guess. I mean, I just wonder because I think you and I would have probably said, maybe November, December, who's going to be the starting shortstop for this team this year. We would have probably said Colson Montgomery just because.
Well, a lot of people were kind of shocked that he didn't break camp, that he wasn't going to be on the major league. And it's like, okay, just a little bit more seasoning. And now he's headed to Arizona.
He's going backwards, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if it's maybe we just have to. When do you figure out if a guy is not doesn't have the ability or doesn't have it? I don't know when
Tyler Ozick tells you.
I'll put it to you this way, Nick. Do you expect to see him play an inning for this team in Chicago at some point this year.
I do. I think you'll see Colson Montgomery. I really do. But this is just not a good. They could spin it any way they want, but we've seen this now for a while.
Yeah.
Just not hitting at the major league level, and this goes with that hope, and then you want to believe in something, right? As a Sox fan these days, and we've done that for a while, really.
Mm-hmm.
You buy into what people have told you, what the pundits, the experts, and I think there has been, though some actual tangible evidence of, okay, there's some excitement here for Colson Montgomery over the last couple of years. But hey, if that's what he needs right now, again, no need to rush him. It's not like we need him at shortstop right now at 35th and Shields. If that's truly what they believe, okay, I'll go along.
Yeah,
I'll go along and I'll listen to your narrative. And if that's true, we'll see. But we'll figure it out eventually, though, won't we? As fans, we'll see if he actually comes around and what he can do. So you can't hide forever. I just hope that's truly what it is and that he does figure it out.
I hope so too, Nick. And I'll give kudos to the organization for not just letting him have the job just because he's the name and he's the quote unquote future shortstop, and letting him maybe flounder even worse at the major league level. So I hope they're doing what's right for him. It seems like they're trying to. They've got a lot of invested in him in terms of a player. So here's hoping he gets it figured out sooner rather than later.
A guy that's figured it out for many, many years, and a guy that I don't think we'll ever stop talking about, Manny Machado or Bryce Harper. And I kind of want to be done talking about it, but it popped up again this past week. I saw it on social media. Maybe everybody did too. There was something circulating that, of a friend of a friend, ran into Bryce Harper. I don't know, it was after a game or somewhere, and said to the effect of, "I'm so glad, you didn't come to the White Sox, because you'd be basically be wasting away here." And he said, "Actually, that was my number one team." And the guy said, "You got to be kidding me. No way." And he turned to his significant other and said, who was my number one?" And she said, "White Sox." And again, this is all just through this text or this, social media post. It sounded like Harper was all in, but then Reinsdorf didn't show up to the second meeting or to the follow-up interview or whatever that was, and things kind of fizzled from there, if that's what we're to believe.
If that really happened, I can't understand we've mentioned it before. Jerry has said he has no other interest, doesn't have hobbies. Baseball is all he cares about. And running this team is all he really cares about or has a passion for, because he's a baseball fan. And you're telling me you couldn't even take a second meeting with a guy? Like, what else did you have to do? You had nothing else going on. Reschedule if you couldn't make it. Is it some type of, in your crazy mind, negotiating like tactic that you use to try and get leverage? Like, well, if I don't show up, maybe I can't even think of the reason why that would give him leverage. But he's a businessman after all. So is that what he's thinking? Like, I better not show up to this. I don't want to show that I love him that much. I better keep my distance. But again, playing by rules that aren't rules anymore. You're trying to do things the way that you think that they should be done, when really, and whether you love it or hate it, today's athlete wants to show that they are loved and that they are wanted. And you better roll out the red carpet and do everything you can. And you better show up, have his favorite cigars ready, to find out what his favorite drink is, whatever it is. Have that all ready for him in the meeting. And your ass better be in that seat as the chairman of the board and the owner of this team to try and bring him here. If you think me being there is going to hurt again, I'm just speculating.
Well, it's never going to go away. I mean, there's going to be new things that'll always pop up, and it has over the years. And Bryce Harper's been very open talking about it. Thought he had a good meeting with Kenny Williams, really liked the edge of the South Side. You know, was feeling good about, I think, having a protection with Abreu and just the fans and the grittiness. And the more I've heard, and again, it's hey, what's done is done. But this latest one, it's just like they just, you know, they just punch after punch after punch. I just, you know, again, we can't do anything about it, and I want to move on. But it's sad that we're continually getting new developments in what could have been. So sad.
Yeah, well, I'll never let it go, and until they actually land that big fish, when there's a new owner at some point, and we're able to actually go into free agency off season and think, well, maybe that guy would come here and actually believe it. I'll never let that go, because that's criminal in my mind. As a fan of this team, what you did to your fan base is criminal. You have a superstar that's still in his prime that wants to come here. And, oh, by the way, what have you been looking for? Now, I don't think he plays a lot of this anymore because of injuries, but
correct. Yeah.
You've been looking for left-handed power to play right field forever.
We're also now still looking for a first baseman. So yeah, that would
Lord
have been
in heaven help us all.
Yep. You are correct, sir. So if there's ever another, which there will be, more details about Bryce Harper, you know, we'll be bringing it up, because this podcast, you know, we just passed 300, our 300th episode recently. This is the 7th season. This podcast was created in that winter meeting era of 2018, when all of that stuff went down. The botched Machado situation, the botched Harper, where we were supposed to get both. Oh. And the prognosticators pointing to the White Sox is they've got the money, the stars are aligning. They could actually have both of these players. And wow. So yeah, that's why I think that's why it you know, it affects all Sox fans, but to know that, wow, we're still talking about it so many years later, it just, man, it's disgusting.
Anyway, I need one of those Dick Allen cigarettes now, because I need to calm down.
Well,
and a drill.
Well, I'm about to, you know, we're going to get to our quote of the week, because I got to get to drilling this thing into his mouth here and getting this cigarette out.
Just put that get that clip ready to go at any moment. That's fantastic.
Oh,
somebody clip that up, put that on.
We'll get Eric to read that one, as well as the bathroom PSA. So yeah, hot takes and mini.
That's a great title for this episode.
Hot takes and mini heaters. Wonderful. So up next, you got at Kansas City, and then home against the Marlins. Want to thank everybody for jumping in live. Appreciate all the comments and adding to this episode. Appreciate you subscribing to the Good Guys Talk Back YouTube channel. Pass it along, like it, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Audio available absolutely everywhere. Thank you so much for making this weekly tradition as your White Sox fandom continues to hold strong, hopefully, through these tough times. We've got a couple of quotes here, and they're both revolving around the City Connect jerseys. Players weighing in. They seem to be pretty excited. I would say all kinds of excited. Here's from my man, Jonathan Cannon. I like them. I really like them. It's just different from all the other City Connects we've seen. It just pays homage to the Bulls and the city, all the other gear that goes with it, the jacket, the sweatshirts, all the hats we had. It's really, really cool what they did. They did a really good job. And here is our leader, Will Venable. They're awesome. Different, said Will Venable. And it's always cool to throw something different on. Obviously, the connection to the Bulls and just a tribute to the city of Chicago, growing up a Michael Jordan fan. It's especially cool. I love that quote. I just love just what he's just different. It's always fun to put
Is
something different on.
is he like a superhero or a cartoon character where they wear the same outfit every day?
I just could
Yeah,
see
this is
Will
different. I'm
Venable just
glad I
throwing
finally
on
got
an
a
old
chance to
Halloween costume around the house. It's just, this is fun. It's
Oh.
Saturday. I don't have a lot to do. I'm just going to put on an old Halloween costume. It's different. It's different. I like it.
Oh, good
Okay.
Lord. I love the
Yeah.
quote of the week. And I love how you
Yeah.
read them. They just make me so happy, Nick.
It's a joy. It's an absolute joy. Well, again, appreciate all of you folks in this with us tonight. We'll be back next week. Pass this along, subscribe to the podcast, all that good stuff. Pat, really enjoyed myself.
This was a fun one, buddy. Let's do it again next Sunday. What do you say?
I agree with you. Hey, for Pat Hester, I am Nick Murawski. Until next time, go Sox.